Hello viewers, I'm SB, and welcome to Nature. See, sometimes our modern lives can get a little bit complicated, a little stressful, and I hear people say in situations where they get overwhelmed that sometimes they want to go out to nature, go on a camping trip, go hiking, find a simple scene like this, and just sort of like drink in the tranquility, the placidity, the eerie stillness, as though it were a JPEG and not, in fact, a physical place. And, alright, look, I'm just gonna level with you. I don't get it at all. This is a JPEG. I would never take you out into real nature. I could barely imagine anything more stressful than going outside on purpose. I mean, the sunlight and the heat and the bears. Did you know outside is where bears live? It's baffling to me. What I usually do when I'm feeling overwhelmed and I want to calm down is I play some board games, or some video games, or sometimes some video games in which you can play some board games. And that is what we are here to do today. We're in a program called Tabletop Simulator, which is pretty much what it sounds like it is, and very effective at it, to play a board game called Spirit Island. Spirit Island is a game where you play as the spirits of an island, shocking, I know, that has been invaded by a colonial power, and your goal is to repel the colonial power, maintain the sanctity of the island, and the lives of the people therein. It is a cooperative game that can be played by a number of players. We are today going to be playing solo, but we're going to be playing as though we are two players, because I find that gives the game a level of complexity that I find pleasing. So if you are not familiar with the game, it is a little bit complicated, but do not worry, you will not be left behind. We will explain everything as we go. I think Spirit Island is pretty cool, and I think Spirit Island really benefits from being played on Tabletop Simulator, because there are a lot of little components. It can take a long time to set up and put away in real life, and you get to skip some of that here, which is neat. But I do want to make sure I say, if you enjoy a game in Tabletop Simulator or in any kind of online medium, please consider buying the physical version. Board gaming is not like a super high margin business. If we would like for new board games to continue being made, we have to make sure we financially support the people who make them. Okay. Also, before we go, last bits of bookkeeping. Thank you very much to Steam users Bone White and Lemonemone, I'm guessing is the pronunciation of that name, for creating the Tabletop Simulator mods that we're using today. And if you are interested in any of the music that you hear over the course of this video, there is information about it in the description box down below. Alright. Today's video is going to be a little bit unusual because we are playing with some pre-release components. There's an expansion for Spirit Island coming out sometime in the next couple of months called Jagged Earth, and we're going to be trying out the spirits from that expansion. So, some of the stuff we're going to be playing with today does not represent final published product. These spirits might still go through some balance changes. There's still some like early art, or in some cases no art at all on some of the components. But I thought this would be a fun thing for everybody to kind of get a little preview of what is coming. So, Spirit Island. Spirit Island is played over the course of a bunch of rounds. You can see here the phase order. This is what happens in a round. And we are playing until we either drive the colonials off, or they ruin the island or manage to entrench themselves such that we cannot imagine driving them away. Obviously, either of those things represents a pretty bad situation for the island and the people of it, as anyone with a passing grasp of history can tell you. We begin, as you can see here, with the Spirit Phase. Each turn has a Spirit Phase, so each of our spirits is going to do a growth action, and then we're going to gain energy and choose our power plays for the turn. And as I'm doing this process, those of you who are not familiar with the game are not going to understand the reasons for everything, but don't worry, all will be made clear. So, first off, we are playing today as Spirits Unyielding Defiance, or Stones Unyielding Defiance, rather, in red. And Many Minds Move as One in yellow. These spirits represent abstract concepts about the land. Sometimes you can see Many Minds Move as One is sort of like a representation of all of the animals on the island that move in flocks and packs. There are multiple different spirits that represent sort of different aspects of the animals, different aspects of the land, things about the people that live there. And then, of course, Stones Unyielding Defiance, very obviously sort of a straightforward mountain nature spirit kind of thing. So I'm going to select this growth option here. There's a lot of iconography in the game. like I keep saying, don't worry, it'll all be explained. So this says we can add a presence disk to the island with in a land within 2 spaces of a land where we already have some presence. So I'm going to grab this one, I think. We're going to come up here and look at the island proper. This is the island. It has a lot of stuff on it right now. As you might imagine, the buildings here, these cities and towns, represent the colonial force. They also have these explorer figurines who will go out and try to find new territory for them. These things that sort of look like mushrooms, but I think are supposed to represent like hut-like structures, are the Dahan. The Dahan are the native people of the island. Basically friendly to us, not super friendly to the to the new invading force. More so, though, the invading force is not super friendly to them. We also have Blight, these sort of like goopy-looking tokens here. Blight is bad. Blight is bad for the health of the place. It represents an area that is that has been despoiled. One of the primary ways that we can lose the game is by allowing the invaders to spread too much blight as they strip the natural resources from the land. There are also some tokens that have images on them that have their own rules. We'll talk about those as they become relevant. Right now, there are a couple of areas where the invaders have brought disease with them, and then we have a couple of tokens representing the native beasts of the land, which will sometimes help us fight the invaders, but they're a little difficult to rely on. The final component we can see here is the presence discs. You can see red-colored presence and yellow-colored presence. These represent where our spirits are the strongest, and they'll be used as like anchoring points for our abilities. So we get to place a new disc within 2 spaces of a place where we already have one. I'm gonna go here, I think. We're gonna drop some presence near where all these people are, because we would like to be able to affect the outcome of this the events that are going to happen here. And then we also get ourselves 3 energy. So we'll just use this counter to keep track of our energy here. And then we're going to enter the next phase here, which is gain energy. We have this track here that tells us how much energy we gain each turn during the gain energy phase. And then we're going to pick some power cards. This track down here tells us how many power cards we get to play each turn. So right now it's just 1. And the anatomy of a power card is up in the top left. We have a circle with a number in it. The number is the energy cost. The color of the circle denotes the speed of the card. As you can see, we have red cards, which are fast, and blue cards, which are slow. We're going to go ahead and, without explaining too much the thought process behind it, just so that we can get into play and show you what's up, we're going to go Jagged Shards Push from the Earth, I think. So this costs us 0 energy right now. We just have a great big energy bank. And one of the things that's really neat about this mod is it has this area where you can play your cards, and it totals up the symbols along the left side and tells you what the total energy cost of everything you've played is. We'll explain all the symbols and stuff in a minute. But I think this is a pretty reasonable spirit phase for Stone's Unyielding Defiance. Oh, also, I should mark that we have uncovered a mountain symbol here. This might be relevant in the near future. Alright, let's do the spirit phase for Many Minds Move as 1 real quick. So, Many Minds Move as 1 has slightly more complicated growth options. I'm going to tell you early on, without having actually played full games as any of the new spirits, and so not having a great sense of the strategy, I very frequently play early game multi-presence actions. You just want to get a lot of discs out on the table, both because it gives you more areas from which to target your abilities and because it uncovers higher numbers on your tracks. You can see here, like as we uncover this, we'll get to play more and more cards per turn. As we uncover this track, of course, we'll get more and more energy to work with. We should also have a look at our special rules here, especially for these guys. When you gather or push beasts, they can move further. Usually gathering or pushing just lets you move something from one space to an adjacent space. And also, your sacred sites, that is places where you have 2 presence discs, are considered to be beast tokens. So if something changes a beast that is your sacred site, it affects 2 of your discs there. So like if you play a card that says, push 1 beast, it can push 2 of your presence. That's really cool. That seems really useful to me. So I think we're going to pick this growth action here. add a presence within 1 range, and then add a presence within 0 range. And we're going to grab 1 presence from each of the lines. So this will give us a little bit of energy income and a second card play each turn. Alright, 1 presence within 1 space, and then another presence within 0. Let's creep out toward more like the middle of the island. So here will be our new disc within 1 range, and then I think we'll play a second presence. I'm actually a little torn on this. Which one do we want to make into a sacred site? I'm going to put it here. This space is obviously a little less immediately important because there are not any invaders in it yet, but because it's closer to more stuff that's happening, like there are 3 spaces adjacent to that where we might need to be able to do stuff in short order, so I think that's going to be our play. And then we get 1 income here, 1 energy income, and we have a larger number of cards to pick from. So, we know that the invaders are going to do stuff. Sorry, it's going to bug me if we don't get these spaced out. Okay. Because we know that the invaders are going to do things. We know that we must try to exert some control over them. I'm going to choose to play here. I think maybe Ever Multiplying Swarm, which will let us get a couple more beast tokens out. It seems like we're very reliant on them. So yeah, let's do that. This will cost 1 energy, so the other card we play this turn is going to have to be free. Why don't we go Guide the Way on Feathered Wings? And again, I'll be explaining the logic behind my moves more on future turns. For right now, I just want to get some stuff going so that people can learn the rules. Right, we should also probably have a look at our special rules on this side here. So whenever Blight is added to one of your lands, unless the Blight outnumbers your presence, it does not destroy presence. Usually, when Blight is placed in a land, in a space on the island, it kills 1 presence disc from each spirit that is in that area. The first time you uncover each of your +1 card play spaces, you gain a minor power, so that's another card to choose from. Okay. So now that we've done our spirit phase, we move on to the bird phase. This is the fast powers phase. We do not have any fast powers with Stone's presence. Oh, I'm sorry, we actually do. Each spirit has a couple of innate powers printed on their board that can be activated if you meet a certain element threshold. So, Hold the Island Fast with a Bulwark of Will has an action on it that can be taken as long as you have at least 2 earth elements, and we totally do, because we have 1 on our track here, and then another one on one of the cards we played this turn. Any card you played sits in front of you and lends you its elements for the entirety of the turns. This one has a fire and an earth, which means that we could, this turn, target yourself. When Blight is added to one of your lands, you may pay 2 energy per Blight to take it from the box instead of off of the card. That's actually really powerful. So we have here our Blight card. Right now the island is healthy. If all 4 of the Blight are removed from this card, the island becomes Blighted. And once we flip the Blight card over to display the island being Blighted, we will see one of our loss conditions. Keeping Blight under control and keeping it from leaving the card is one of the main ways we can defend ourselves from losing. So that seems like a pretty powerful thing. Our other spirit totally has some fast phase powers. So first of all, we have Guide the Way on Feathered Wings. Gather up to 1 beast and up to 2 Dahan. So the way these work is we have a speed listed here, right? And then a range. Each card targets something. Each power targets something. Most powers target a land, which is to say a space on the island. So we can target any land that is within 1 range of one of our presence discs. And we can gather a beast and up to 2 Dahan there. Is our special power... Okay. We can move beasts from further away, but Dahan can still only be gathered from adjacent places. So we need to call forth the beast tokens and the Dahan to potentially fight some enemies here. Alright, we have a presence disc right there. I'm going to target this land, and we're going to gather 2 Dahan from an adjacent place. One thing I really like that this mod does is after you move stuff, it leaves it highlighted for a minute, so it's really easy for you to go, okay, that's, in case you want to undo that action, these are the things that I moved, I can just put them back. Do we want to also gather the beast token? I think I'm not going to. I think I want this beast to be here just in case it decides to get hungry, because it could potentially eat that explorer, and that would certainly make our lives easier. You may also move one beast to an adjacent land, and then after resolving this line, you may move one beast to an adjacent land, and up to 2 Dahan may go with it. I think we've got those in the position we want them to be in. You can see our cards here have a ton of symbols on them. So right now we are at 1 yellow, 1 orange, 2 purple, 1 gray, and 2 red. Which means we have 2 purple and 2 red. We can activate the first line of both the teeming host arrives and beset and confound the invaders. So first of all, within 1 range, we can gather up to 1 beast. Are there places where we want to move beasts around? I guess you got to remember, we can treat our sacred sites as though they are beasts. So we could we could target one of these 2 spaces because they're close to close to our sacred site here, and then gather our sacred site as a beast, sort of representing like a flock of birds that is representative of our will. That's definitely interesting. Do we have a lot of powers that have 0 range? Like, do I need to be right on top of enemies potentially? We have a couple of powers that require sacred sites nearby. This is supposed to be 2 discs on top of each other, so it represents a sacred site. So now we just need to be adjacent to things, but because our sacred site counts as a beast and thus could be used for, like, if there are 2 beasts in a space, get some effect there. I guess we do kind of want to move toward the invaders. It's just always a little dangerous. I think we want to move some stuff into this space. Things are going to occur here, and we want to be here to make stuff, to be able to affect them. So I'm allowed to gather up to 1 beast. We'll just pull, for right now, we'll just pull the beast token that's adjacent to that in there. Alright, and then if there are 2+ beasts in a space, we could, in a space that has invaders in it, the target has to have invaders, we can cause a fear and defend 2 in that space. We don't have any spots where we could actually do that, and it wouldn't be super relevant at the moment anyway. I'm not going to worry about it. We just won't use that power. Alright, so that's our fast phase. We did all of our fast phase stuff. Now it is the Invader Phase, which is not always a great time. So first, the Blighted Island card. If that card were flipped over to the Blighted side, it might have an action that you're supposed to take at the beginning of the Invader Phase. This is when we would do that. Then we have the event step. This is not listed on the board because it's part of an expansion, but before the fear step, we roll an event card over here. So what do we got? Well-prepared explorers. Since we are in healthy island mode for the rest of this turn, explorers have +1 health. If we were in blighted mode, obviously there's a different thing that happens. And then after that, Beast's Prowl. Each beast generates 1 fear if invaders are present and moves to an adjacent land if not. Well, both of the beast tokens on the board, here and here, are present with invaders, so 1 fear from each of them. Fear is a good thing in this game. This represents the degree to which the invaders are afraid of us. As we draw fear out of the pool into the generated fear area, we're building up fear cards. Like every time the fear pool completely empties, we will earn ourselves a fear card, which will give us some kind of boost. If we completely exhaust the fear stack, we win. So generating fear is a good way to drive the invaders back home. Each beast generates 1 fear. Am I allowed to... How does this interact with a joining of swarms and flocks? Your sacred sites are also considered beasts. Okay. I think this is giving us an interesting option. Generates 1 fear if invaders are present and moves to an adjacent land if not. Well, I think this beast token here moves to an adjacent land because it is not in a space with invaders right now. That'll be good for us later. I think. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm maybe not the best player in the whole universe here. And then finally, Coming of Age. On each board, add 1 Dahan to an inland land that already has some Dahan. So when it says on each board, you'll notice the island is made up of a couple of different pieces here. this is one board, this is another. The number of boards you use to build the island goes up with the number of players. So on each one, some Dahan spawn some new Dahan. Well, we probably want those to go in places where we expect there to be conflict in the near future. We'd like to outnumber the invaders where possible. So probably on this board, we're just going to do one right here. And another handy feature of this mod is that it has some buttons we can press to quickly spawn a token. So Dahan, number 0. We might be overcommitting to this space, but it is pretty important that we get it clear. And then over here, there's no space that's quite as meaningful. I think I might just spawn them in this land so that they're nice and central. They can move to wherever they need to go easily. Alright, that's the end of the event, so now we move into the fear phase, the fear step. During the fear step, if we had earned any fear cards, this is when we would use their effects. And then we go into the invader actions. You can see here, they have a track that goes Ravage, then Build, then Explore. Right now, there's no card in Ravage, so on the first turn, no Ravage happens. Then, they build in lands of the depicted type. They are going to build new towns in sands. Any sand place where they have a figure of any kind, that is an explorer or a town or a city, they now build a new thing. In a place where they have fewer towns than cities, they make towns, like here and here. In a place where they have more towns than they have cities, they instead make a city, which is bad news for us because that's a big, powerful grouping of invaders. And then this space is a little special because it has a disease token. Disease prevents the next build action and then is removed. Another cool thing this mod does is if you just move tokens off the island, it sorts them back into the place where they go automatically for you. Tabletop Simulator is pretty cool. Alright, so that was their build, and then they explore into the wetlands. So in any wetland space that either has an invader building or is adjacent to a space with an invader building, we spawn explorers. Unfortunately, that is all of the wetland spaces. And then for the final action of the Invader Phase, advance the cards. So all of the cards move over to the left here. So next turn, they will ravage the sands, they will build in the wetlands they just explored, and there will be a new exploration action. If the explore stack is ever totally empty, that represents the invaders having established such a foothold that we will not be able to drive them away. That's one of our lost conditions. We are on the clock here. We only have so many turns to get the job done. Alright, now we move into slow phase. It is time for all of our turtle speed powers. So, for example, Jagged shards now push from the earth. Within range 1 of our presence, add a Badlands token, and then push up to 2 Dahan. A Badlands token, those are not on the thing here, because those are an element of the expansion, but they did helpfully put a bag of them on the table for us, so we're just going to bring this over here for our use. We're going to put a Badlands token within 1 range of one of the red presents. Let's say... This is kind of tough. So what a Badlands token does is whenever an invader or a Dahan in a space with a Badlands token takes damage, it takes an additional point of damage. Badlands tokens just represent like the land there being harsh enough that it kind of makes everything worse. Doesn't do anything on its own, but it amplifies damage in the region. Part of me wants to put it here. I'm worried that it's going to cause this Dahan here to die before he can do anything about the invaders. I'm going to put it right here, I guess. This is a place where there are only enemies. We can try to figure something out. Again, this is my first time playing with many expansion mechanics. I don't have like a super deep plan here. And then we also have a slow power on this side. Yes, the ever-multiplying swarm. So pick a space that is within 0 range of your presence. That is, a space where you have presence that also has beasts, and for each beast, add another beast to a max of 3. Well, obviously, we're going to pick this one. It has 2 beasts, so we add another 2 beasts. This is maybe overkill. We may have overcommitted to this space. There's a lot of stuff happening here. Alright, and then that is the end of our slow powers. So we enter the Time Passes phase. When time passes, all of the played cards are discarded. Each spirit has its own discard pile. Any damage that is on anything on the island resets. Everybody heals up to full. And also there's a button on the table here that makes a quote pop up. Time passes so slowly if you are unaware of it, and so quickly if you are aware of it. Well, okay, everybody don't think about time then. Alright, and then we're on a new turn, and that's sort of the loop of the game. Either the invaders are going to totally ruin this island, or they're not. Let's find out. So we enter a new growth phase, or a new spirit phase, rather, that begins with a growth step. Boy, Stone's Unyielding Defiance has an awful lot of energy built up. I think this might be a good time to try to dig for a major power. So we're going to take this growth option over here. This is place one presence within one range of existing presence, and also gain a power card. When you gain a new card, there are two types you can go after. A minor power just gets you a new thing. Major powers are way, way better than minor powers, but they're also much more expensive, and they require you to lose an existing power in order to take them on. Let's have a look at our existing powers here. Let me make sure that there's something I'm comfortable losing, because we might want to hold on to all this stuff. Stubborn Solidity lets us defend the Dahan in a region. Scarred and Stony Land deals damage directly and also puts more Badlands tokens out. Ooh, it also lets us remove Blight from the board. That's nice. And this lets us destroy buildings. These are all things that I think are probably going to be useful. But maybe we could afford to drop Stubborn Solidity. Honestly, though, this is a turn where we might use this. Okay, you know what? Let's gain a minor power first. I'm not sure I'm comfortable forgetting any of this stuff we know yet. So, when you gain a power, you are shown 4 powers of that type. You get to pick one to keep. What makes sense for us? Well, first of all, let's talk about elements. What do we need? Obviously, we like Earth Element quite a bit. We also could eventually use some yellow or some green, but that's really eventually. It's going to be a long time before we can play enough cards to be able to get 7 gray. So I guess what we're really looking for is cards that have that Earth Element on them. Call to Ferocity lets us gather up to 3 Dahan, or use the Dahan to terrify and push away the invaders. Does it at slow speed, which is a little awkward, but honestly, that does seem like a pretty useful card, and we could use it to push away explorers after the explore phase to prevent them from building on the next turn. I actually think this looks pretty good. We'll take that. So the other 3 just go over here to the discard pile, and then putting the card in your hand is a totally reasonable thing for it to do if you're playing this in a normal way where each player is one spirit. Okay, and then we get to place a presence. So, if we have a look at the presence discs here, these ones in the top line will increase our energy gain and also cause us to immediately gain powers. Immediately gain powers. I think it is not a huge priority for us to gain more energy output. Obviously, we have a ton of extra energy just sitting around. We have that very good growth action. See, this right here. This is how you're supposed to get all of your symbols. So, hold the island fast with a Bulwark of Will lets us pull Blight from the box instead of from the card. And let them break themselves against the stone. After invaders deal 1 or more damage to target land, 2 damage. Okay, so actually, getting to 3 gray symbols is really valuable because it lets us deal damage directly to the invaders when they hurt the land, which is a thing that's going to start happening this turn. So yeah, I'm gonna, maybe unwisely, I'm gonna do this. We're gonna play the presence from here, and I'm just gonna mark that with a symbol, because if we do that, then the calculators at the top of the area automatically remember that we have that available. So we're just sitting here with 2 gray symbols at all times, which is cool. So within 1 range of an existing presence, I think let's play it here, just so that we can try to reach across to the opposite corner of the island. I want to try to get us into a position where we can potentially affect any part of the island with our powers. Alright, so that's growth phase for you, and then we may as well finish your spirit phase. You get another 2 energy that you have no immediate use for, and I think we are playing Stubborn Solidity. We have to figure out some way of preventing the danger of the Ravage. This is probably a good time to explain how the Ravage works, because we're about to start making decisions based on it. When we perform the Ravage in the depicted land type, each invader will deal damage. Explorers deal 1, towns deal 2, and cities deal 3. They deal that damage to the land itself and also to the Dahan in that land simultaneously. So like right here in this space, the invaders are going to deal 6 damage to the Dahan and the land. If the land takes at least 2 damage, it gets a Blight. And that Blight comes off of the Blight card, and when Blight is placed in a land, it also destroys 1 presence from each spirit in that land. So obviously, we need this area not to Blight out. Also, each Dahan has 2 health, so 6 damage would exactly kill all of these Dahan. After the invaders deal their damage, if there are any Dahan left in the region, they then deal, each Dahan village deals 2 damage to the invaders. So, we can use the defend keyword to prevent invader damage. If we were to prevent 6 damage in this region, all of the Dahan would survive, there would be no Blight, and then the Dahan would deal 6 damage right back, and they would kill all of the invaders. Invaders have the same damage output and health, so a city deals 3 damage and has 3 health. So there's 6 total health of invaders here. When invaders are destroyed, first of all, obviously that's good because they're no longer in the space to do horrible things on future turns, but also, whenever you destroy a town or a city, you generate some fear, which is helpful in a whole bunch of ways. So we really want to lay a whole bunch of defense out here. But there are 4 lands that we have to worry about. We certainly will not be able to defend all of them. I will say this, I think that the Yellow Spirit is going to be able to handle this to some degree. Right, the Yellow Spirit has this Beset and Confound the Invaders power. So if they're... Okay, we have some amount of defense possible. We're probably not actually going to be able to completely defend the land, though. There are 4 beasts in that space, which means we could, in theory, access this defend 6, but keep in mind, in order to do that, we have to have 3 purple symbols and 4 red, and there's no way for us to get there. We can't play enough cards. And unfortunately, Many Minds Move as 1 does not get a bunch of free symbols like the other guy does. We could potentially hit... Boy, this is actually real tough. If we took the growth option that added 2 presence to the board, and we... Oh no, if we had at least 1 presence to the board, we can uncover 1 red symbol here. And then we make these our 2 card plays, we'll get to 2 purple and 3 red that way. So we can make defend 4 happen. So we have to figure out some way of getting this down to 4 damage, really. Or we have to use some extra defend from the Dahan. What are our powers this turn going to do? A Dreadful Tide of Scurrying Flesh, which is a hell of a name for a power, allows us to remove any number of beast tokens. The target is within 1 range of a sacred site, a land that has at least 2 beast tokens. And for each one removed, skip the next invader action, and also 1 fear if invaders are present, and also 1 damage. That's a really powerful card, but we really don't want to be removing beast tokens unless we absolutely have to be. So useful. And then, that's a very powerful thing. I just don't really want to have to do it. Oh, we do have another card over here. For every 2 beasts, push a guy. For every 3 beasts, push a town. Okay, this could save that area. If we pursue the people of that town with scratches, pecks, and stings to such a degree that they pick up and move their town away, then the space is only taking 4 damage, and our defend 4 totally covers it. Okay, so between Pursue with Scratches, Pecks, and Stings, and Beset and Confound the Invaders, the big space is totally safe and covered. Awesome. Which means that the red spirit does not need to place Stubborn Solidity there this turn. That said, are there other places where it might be necessary? If I was thinking ahead a little bit more, when we spawned the Dahan last turn, we could have put this guy here, and then we could have done it here, and had given this space to defend, which would have been awfully nice. I was not looking ahead enough. As you can see, just from like the amount of thinking we're having to do here during the play power phase, there's a lot of strategic depth, there's a lot of decisions to make, a lot of plans to form. And I was trying to get us to some gameplay so I could explain the mechanics a little bit. We're going to have a hard time saving that space. And then over here we have no plan. And over here we have no plan. This is going to get real ugly real fast. So what's our fast power lets us at least get some of this Blight to not come off of the Blight card. But it has to be, when it says one of your lands, it's referring to a land that has your presence in it. So that only works in a place where we have presence, which does not describe any of the locations that are going to receive Blight. We could still get lucky. There is the event deck. The event deck will help us. But it's very hard to know what the right thing to do is going to be here. Do we have the ability to move any... No, this turn we do not have the ability to move any Dahan between the two of us. You have some post-battle Dahan stuff. We don't have a sacred site. Otherwise, I would say just running this out to try to undo the blight post-blighting might be the right move. Well, we can throw up the Stubborn Solidity and just hope that the event deck gives us a little bit of a push. I think that's kind of the situation I put us in. The game has a variety of difficulty levels that can be played at. We're playing at a pretty low one, and we'll talk about the difficulty and the adversaries and stuff more in a little bit. But this would be like, I'm not the greatest player in the world. This would still be kind of an embarrassing loss. We might lose. It could happen. All right, and then over here, so we definitely want to add a presence. Add a presence and a beast within 3 range. I think this is what we want to do, because we need to uncover this. And then this also lets us get more beast tokens and stuff on the table, and we can in fact set up a reasonable Dreadful Tide of Scurrying Flesh, perhaps. It's like if we add you here, and also a beast token, then we can play this, remove a beast token from there, and skip the next invader action so they don't ravage in that space at all. That takes care of one of the blight. And then we can also gather up to 3 beasts into a land within 2 range of one of our discs. So we kind of like the beasts where they are right now, I think. We need to have 2 beasts in this space to be able to target it with our skill, or with our ability. Our power card, rather. You know what I think we'll do is we'll target this area, we'll gather 1 beast into this area. This still has 2 beasts, because remember, a pair of our discs is considered a beast token. We're going to have to do something about these guys over here at some point. Then again, maybe I want to leave the beast token right here, because if we get an event card that has the beasts like attacking the enemies, it sure would be cool if they attacked enough of these guys to get some kills over here. Nah, we'll move it. That's how we'll use that. We'll use that part of the ability, and then we'll also gain 2 energy. And we know we need to play a Dreadful Tide of Scurrying Flesh. We also know we need to play one more card that has both a purple and a red. Fortunately, that describes all of our cards. Oh, that's right. No, we had a plan that involves playing this. We know exactly what our card plays have to be this turn. Total energy cost of 1. Okay, let's fast phase it. So, first fast phase first thing. This. Targeting this land. For every 3 beasts in this land, push a town out of it. So what direction do we want to push the town in? Is a good question. I actually don't really have a strong plan here. I don't think it matters too much. Of the 4 adjacent lands, yeah, I honestly don't know that it matters too much. Maybe we move it over to here and just hope that we draw an event card that has the Dahan attack or something. I kind of like keeping them grouped up, because if we move the beasts around as a group, we can keep doing defend 4 in places. Yeah, we'll push that to there. So that is this. 1 fear for every invader this power pushed. We could also push the Explorer out, but I'm going to choose not to. I want him to be here to die. He needs to fight and lose. And then we have this. Within 1 range of a sacred site, a land that has 2 beasts, remove a beast token to prevent the next invader action. 1 fear if invaders are present, also do 1 damage. So we caused a fear and we do 1 damage, which kills that guy. We could deal the 1 damage to the town instead, but there's no guarantee that we're going to get a second point of damage to actually finish it off here, and then it's going to heal back to full at the end of the turn, so it could end up just being wasted if we did it that way. Alright, and then beset and confound the invaders. With 2 red, and I forgot to drop a thing on here. Yeah, with 2 purple and 3 red, we target this region. If there are 3 beasts, 2 fear, and defend 4. So the next 4 damage that the invaders would deal will instead not get dealt, which is exactly all of their Ravage damage. And then we also do have the teeming host arrives, and in fact, we have a blue symbol on one of these cards. So we have 2 purple, 1 blue, 3 red. Oh no, we have to have 3 purple to use the second line of this. So we can target somewhere nearby and gather a beast token into the nearby tile. I suppose at this point we don't actually need all of the beasts to be over here. Maybe we move one of them toward the new group of invaders. Or maybe even move one of them up to this jungle just so that we're adjacent to a lot more stuff. You know what? Actually, I'm going to move this beast token to that space. Right? That's illegal. That space is a legal target. Yeah, within 1 range of your presence. Okay. I gathered up to 1 beast token. A very productive fast phase for you. You are going to, within 1 range of a presence, defend 1 per Dahan right here, and we're just going to hope that we get another point of defense from an event card or something. That's totally speculative. And then this isn't actually going to come up. We have enough symbols for it to be active, but there's not going to be any damage in any regions where we have presence. Yeah. It's a shame we didn't have a good way of moving one of our presence discs over. Oh well, whatever. So I think that's our whole fast phase. That's all of our fast phase cards. So, Blighted Island is nothing, and then the event. Seeking the Interior. Okay, so when it says Stage 1 versus Stages 2 and 3, it's referring to the stage of the invasion there. We can see from the number on the back of this card, we are still in Stage 1 of the invasion. So in each coastal land, push 1 explorer, 1 land inland. Alright, coastal lands, obviously, lands by the coast. That's a bummer. So we're going to push this guy 1 land inland again, just make it so that his distance from the coast is greater, right? We can move him to here, or here, or here. These are all legal options. I guess we'll move him to here, just keeping these guys grouped up so that they're easier to blow up later. And then that, unfortunately, we do not get to not move this guy. He has to be moved. I really wanted him to be there to die. Let's, I guess, have him follow along with our presence. Trying to like keep him in a place where he's controllable. And then, okay, there's one more inland land, or there's one more coastal land where we have an explorer, and he must be moved. I'm gonna move him to here again, trying to keep him with all of the tokens that represent our power here. Okay, what else does this token do? Each beast generates 1 fear if invaders are present and moves to an adjacent land if not. You'll see this kind of thing happen a lot. The beasts love to prowl around and spook the invaders. So wait, each beast token? That's a lot of fear, right? Because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 beast tokens on the board, and they are all in spaces that have invaders. So 6 fear. 1, 2. Oh, sorry. Add fear. 1, 2. Fear card earned, and then 3, 4, 5, 6. That's actually a pretty big deal. And on each board, push 2 Dahan from a land with Blight to a land without Blight. Oh, interesting. So the Dahan forsake the barren land. On this board, we have no Dahan on a blighted space, so that doesn't do anything. Over here, it does let us move some guys. So I think if we move 2 Dahan into this space, the enemies, when they attack, are going to deal 3 damage. 1 of it gets defended, which is, unfortunately, not the number we were hoping for. So they'll still do 2 damage, they'll still blight the land, they'll still kill this village. But then these guys will retaliate and clear the space, at least. Not totally ideal, but it'll have to do. I believe the value of the defense... Oh, hold on a second. When they would be Dahan in the target land cannot be changed. When they would be damaged, destroyed, removed, replaced, or moved, instead don't. So the 1 Dahan tile in that, or the 1 Dahan village in that space will not in fact die. That being the case, do I have to move 2? Yes, push 2. Okay. I was going to say, since he's going to survive and be able to fight back, we only needed to move 1 over, but we do not have the option of only moving 1 over. Alright, so now, fear cards that we've earned are played. What do we got? Each player removes 1 explorer or town from a land with beast tokens. That's a pretty okay... I should make this clear. We're only doing the top part of this card because right now the terror level is 1. As we earn more fear cards, the terror level may rise, and then we'll get access to more intense versions of the actions on the cards. But for right now, we're just doing the top part. There are too many monsters here. An explorer or a town flees from a land with beasts. This whole island is like the birds, man. Well, I think this is one of those 2. So it says each player. Remember, we're playing as 2 players, so twice we are going to remove an explorer or a town from a land with beasts. I think this is a pretty obvious choice here. Because this way, when they do a build in this zone in a moment here, they'll build a town instead of a city. And then we get to do it 1 more time. But, oh, here. We could do it here. This town's not going to do anything this turn, but just getting it off the table is probably pretty good. The only other option is this explorer is in a space with a beast token, so we can remove him. I don't think that actually helps us very much. Yeah, let's just get rid of this town. The invaders are too scared of the local wildlife. The birds behave very erratically and aggressively, and we will run from them. Okay, that's the fear phase. Now it is Ravage time. So we dealt with some of the Ravages, not all of them. Obviously, there is no Ravage here. In this place, the invaders attempt to deal 3 damage, but fail because there's 4 defend on the space, and then the Dahan destroy the city. When a town is destroyed via damage, or by a card that says the word destroy on it, you generate 1 fear. When a city is destroyed, you generate 2. So we've made a ton of fear this turn. That beasts prowling again was really good for us. In this area, the invaders deal 3 damage, and the land becomes blighted, which is a real shame. Oh, actually, probably I should use the scripting to do this. Blight. There we go. Did that come off the card properly? Yes, it did. All right. And in this area, the invaders deal... There's 1 defend up here, so they deal 2 damage. A blight does occur. I imagine Dahan die if Dahan can die. I probably am not allowed to say, well, you don't. These guys are invincible, so they take the damage. It's probably Dahan who can be damaged or damaged first. Those guys take 2 damage. And then post-invader damage, the Dahan retaliate, together dealing 4 damage, clearing the invaders and generating 1 more fear. Alright, we're about to earn ourselves a new card already. So we're already down to half of our remaining Blight. It's bad. This is a bad situation. Then we build. In any wetland tile where there is an explorer, where there is an invader, some building happens. Fortunately, we will not see a build happen here, so we're getting things under control a little bit better already. Here we have a town, here we have a town, and here we have a town. If Blight is ever placed in a space where there's already some Blight, then you get additional Blight cascading out of that location into other nearby locations. So this is pretty dangerous, but we do have mountain presence here already, so we can use some of his abilities to prevent that from occurring. And then finally, we have an explore action. Mountain. Alright, well, I believe all of the mountain spaces either have buildings on them or are adjacent to buildings. So lots more explorers. It may seem like it's going to be very difficult for us to get the invaders under control at this point in the game. They're just kind of everywhere all the time. But we are going to continue getting more powerful over the course of the game. We will hopefully catch up with them in terms of output. Alright, and then advance the invader cards. We've reached phase 2 of the invasion. Things are going to start getting a little bit worse here. Alright, then slow phase. We have nothing for Stone's Unyielding Defiance during slow, but we do have a slow phase. Nope, never mind. We elected to play both the fast phase cards, that's right. So we have no slow phase this turn. Which means time passes. Let's go ahead and discard our cards and press the button on the board so it says something to us that is going to end up being very depressing. Okay, that was less meaningful to me. Alright, the beginning of turn 3, we have a new spirit phase. So let's take a moment here and actually strategize. Stone's Unyielding Defiance has to pick a growth action. The one growth action we haven't picked yet has this symbol on it. This is reclaim your cards. It would take all of our cards from our discard and put them back into our hand so that we could potentially use them again. It would also give us temporarily two earth elements and let us place a presence in a mountain or on a place where we already have presence within 3 range. So that's mountain element or the earth element rather, and also reclaiming 1 card. I don't think that's really what we want. We don't need more presence, or we don't need more energy per turn. But like this might be a good time to gain a major power. Maybe we want to gain power again. I would not feel too bad dropping Call to Ferocity. It's fine, but it's not, I think, as good as our starting powers. I think that's what we're going to do. So we're going to start taking the presence from this row, not because I want extra energy, but because I want to get to here where it's going to let us play more cards. So within 1 range, and then we're going to gain our 1 power. Actually, you know what? I believe we're allowed to do these in any order we want. Let's gain the power first in case the targeting restrictions of the power make us want to make particular decisions with our presence here. So as you can see, some of these are quite a bit more expensive, but they tend to be really good. For example, this one can only target a land where there is a city, but it does generate 6 fear, and then 1 additional fear for each invader building and for each of your presence. Then remove a city and a town and an invader. Really? But then invaders in the target land immediately ravage. That's really interesting. That's a crazy good power. So you manifest an incarnation of your might, and then the invaders panic and flee and also start destroying stuff. And if you also, major powers tend to have additional effects if you can hit certain element thresholds. If you have 3 yellow, 3 white, 3 additional fear, and the Invader Ravage is considerably nerfed. This is a super good card. Okay, we'll look at the other ones, but it's hard to imagine not taking that one. They all have Earth Element on them, though, which is nice. Tsunami. Within 2 range of a sacred site on a coastal land, 2 fear, 8 damage, but destroy 2 Dahan villages. And if you have 3 water, 2 earth, in each other coastal land on the same board, half of that. Jeez. That's also very good. Pyroclastic Flow. Within 1 range of a mountain where you have presence, 2 damage, destroy explorers. If it's a jungle or a wetland, also blight. And if you have a broad swath of elements there, 4 damage, and add a Wilds token. Wilds tokens prevent exploration. That one's definitely less good. I mean, it costs only 3 energy, so of course it's less good. And Pent-Up Calamity. Within 2 range of any of your power, add 1 blight, 1 disease and 1 strife. Or remove any number of tokens, and for each token removed, 1 fear and 3 damage. If you have 2 white and 3 orange, if you remove tokens, return up to 2 of them, otherwise add 2 strife. Strife is very powerful. Strife makes 1 invader in the space not deal damage that turn, and I believe it's any one of your choice. Where's the... Yeah, blocks a specific invader's damage the next time they damage the land or Dahan. So, it can be very, very powerful. Like when you play a strife token, you just put it next to the city in the space or something. So honestly, I'm thinking it's Pent-Up Calamity versus Manifest Incarnation, probably. I think they're both great. It's worth noting that Pent-Up Calamity as a fast power can prevent a blight that would occur that turn by preventing some portion of the Ravage, which is a really powerful way of getting yourself out of a situation you didn't plan well enough to avoid in the first place. This one is super good, but it requires better planning because it happens after the enemy turn. So you're preventing next turn's problem instead of dealing with this turn's problem. Gosh, it's very good though. And our yellow spirit is so good at producing fear that I kind of feel like taking fear-focused powers is maybe going to let us pursue an actual fear victory. So I think I'm going to take this one. They're both really good, though. Man. Fast powers that can help you prevent this turn's blight are so good. I'm looking at the board here. I'm trying to think, how are we going to deal with a wetland ravage? Here we have no problem. Here we can probably get some beast shenanigans going on. We better hope we can. This might not be stoppable because we just don't have enough stuff happening over here. So how are we going to deal with this? A strife token in this area doesn't actually fix the problem because there are 2 explorers. Because we grouped the explorers together, we've actually made this harder. Do I have a good way of dealing with that with any of my other cards? Not really, right? No, not really. So yeah, this wouldn't even save us. Being able to do a bunch of damage to the invaders, though, can be really powerful, and especially, like, if we're building up a ton of beast tokens with one of the spirits, being able to turn any number of them into instant 3 damage does seem really, really good. 6 fear every single time you play it. I'm going to take Manifest Incarnation. We're going to try to make it work. Not a thing we're going to be able to play all the time. Alright, and so that only works within 0 range of our stuff here. So we're about to place another presence. If we place it in the place where that bad wetland ravage is going to happen, we can at least take advantage of this. A second blight will get added there, but the blight will not outnumber our presence, so it won't destroy our presence, and it won't cascade outward and make things worse. I think we have to do this for defense, as much as I would like to place that somewhere else. And then maybe we play Manifest Incarnation for the purpose of clearing that area up a little bit. Invaders ravaging there in the slow phase after stuff is removed won't really matter because it'll just be one guy left and he won't deal enough damage for it to do anything. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Sorry, hold on. We have to do our gain energy phase first. Then we choose to play Manifest Incarnation. And thanks to all of our revealed mountain symbols, we're still in good shape there. So we go down to 3. Okay, growth phase for you. You have to figure out a way to deal with that southern wetland ravage, and I think we're just committed to this one happening in a way I can't really do much about right now. How are we going to fight this? Well, we could do this thing again. We could add a presence and a beast there, and then gather our sacred site as a beast token over to it, and then we would have enough beasts in the land to be able to get off a defend 4. It has to be 3. Yeah, the only way that works is if we gather all that stuff in, but that will prevent all of the damage, and the Dahan will be there to kill the invaders afterward. I think that's the plan for that. So that doesn't affect our power selection at all. Oh, you know what? Actually, we only have 1 card right now. So I'm not going to be able to play enough symbols to get this going. Which means we have to take Reclaim and try to gather the necessary number of beasts in some other way. So alright, let's do the Reclaim action. That's our growth action for the turn. Let's get all of our cards back, and then also we gain a power card. And I think we probably want to gain a minor power card here, because we're not going to be able to afford to play major power cards. So, minors. In particular, we're looking for cards that have purple and red symbols on them. Well, the only purple card... Ooh, it is a fast power that lets us add a strife to the board. I actually really like that. Let's make sure we at least look at the rest of these. Gather up to 2 Dahan, and Dahan have +2 health while in that land. That's certainly cool. Destroy 3 towns and do 1 damage to each town or city, but also add a blight. We gotta be real careful about our blight. This is super cool, but we don't have enough yellow symbol generation for it to matter for us, probably. At least not yet. Destroy 1 of your presence. Target spirit removes 1 blight from 1 of their lands. Wow, that is sacrifice. I think we're taking fire in the sky. Quick Strife Edition can be so very powerful. So that works within 1 range of a sacred site. We could just throw a speculative... we could play it now and just throw a speculative strife out onto... Let's see, Mountain is going to be the build this turn, and then there's going to be a Ravage in the mountains next turn. So just throw a strife token on something in one of these mountains and figure that out later. It does kind of feel like I'm losing. It feels like we're getting overwhelmed. So what else do we need to do here? We really want to... If we use Pursue with Scratches, Pecks, and Stings, we could push one of the Explorers out of here, and then defend 2 in that area, since there will only be 2 beast tokens, and that'll be enough to keep it from blighting at least. So I think we probably have to... let me gain energy. And then play my cards. I think we probably need this. And this is very good for us. We could do a dreadful tide of scurrying flesh somewhere, I suppose. We don't have our our beast tokens in the right areas. We could try to do some stuff during the fast phase to make some beast tokens be in the right areas first. Or we could just play something slower and prep for next turn. We could leave Fire in the Sky for next turn, actually. That might be a good idea. Maybe do Connect the Hive Mind to allow us to add some more beasts to the board and also let the other spirit move his energy or his presence around. Kind of like that. We do have Guide the Way on Feathered Wings as well. So we could gather a beast and up to 2 Dahan and then move a beast and up to 2 Dahan. So right now, in this space, when the Ravage happens, the Blight occurs, but we at least prevent most of the worst effects of it. And also the Dahan dies, and then these guys survive. We could gather a beast and 2 Dahan into this, target this space with the power, gather these guys in here, and then move them to this space, and that way at least there'll be some Dahan here to deal damage. The problem is, unless we get 4 Dahan into the space, we're not going to be able to kill all the enemies. Still might be worth doing, actually, though. No, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and play Connect the Hive Mind. We're going to try to give ourselves some ability to set up for next turn, because it looks like next turn is going to be really ugly. That's going to be 2 energy. We really need to get some proper income going with this spirit. Alright, so that's Spirit Phase. Now it is Red Phase, Fast Phase time. So I am, of course, going to play Hold the Island Fast with a Bulwark of Will, targeting myself. When Blight is added to my lands, we can mess with it, which we totally will. We have 3 gray symbols. And then also let them break themselves against the stones. See if I care. After the invaders deal 1 or more damage to the land, do 2 damage. Okay, so that's... yeah, we're targeting this land. That'll at least kill the town. And then that's all your fast phase stuff. You actually have some things to do. So first of all, the teeming host arrives. We want to target this land, gather a beast token into it. Then, we want to play Beset and Confound the invaders in that land if there are 2 or more beasts, which there are, 1 fear, and also defend 2. So we have 2 points of defense in this land now. And then also, Pursue with Scratches, Pecks, and Stings for every 2 beast tokens. Push 1 Explorer, so one of these guys gets moved. I don't actually know where it makes sense to do this. Oh, you know what? We move him here, because by himself, he will deal insufficient damage on the Ravage, and then the Dahan village will kill him. We just needed him to not be there during the build, so that actually works out really well for us. And then 1 fear per invader that this power pushed. Oh, also, we earned a fear card. I gotta remember to bring it down here. Yeah, our spirits are actually... or rather, this spirit is really good at producing fear. Okay, so this is a slow power. We used all of these already. So we have Defend 2 in that space. There are actually tokens that you can put down. It's like, hey, remember, you have an effect here. Alright, let's go on to the next thing. So first of all, Blighted Island. Not yet. Then, the event. It is stage 2 of the invasion, I believe. I think it's stage 2 as soon as there's a card visible with a 2. Hold on, there's a thing here. Not when the first card that has a 2 on it is played. Yes, the current stage is shown by the top card of the Invader deck. So that's unfortunate. It is stage 2. Invaders do +1 damage per land when ravaging. That ruins some of our math. On each board, add a disease to the jungle or wetland with the largest number of buildings. So here, we add a disease there. And here, jungle or wetland. Is it? I think if it's a tie, we get to just choose. Yeah, with the most buildings. I guess let's put it over here. We're more likely to be able to exert control ourselves over this area, I think. And finally, on each board, remove a blight from a land that has at least 2 Dahan. Okay, that's handy. And when blight is removed in this way, it goes back onto the card. So those guys are able to clean the land up there. On this board, we unfortunately don't actually get to benefit from that. Well, it's good that that removed a blight from the land, because the increasing aggression effect is going to give us an extra blight, I'm pretty sure. Alright, and then it is the fear phase. We earned ourselves a card. Each player removes 1 explorer or town from a land with a sacred site. Oh, well that's interesting. So here, we remove this town. That gives us back enough defend to make this not blight anymore. And then here, unfortunately, we don't get the same benefit, but we still want to remove this town, obviously. Alright, that could have been a little bit better. Ravage time. So, in the wetlands, they ravage. Here, the explorer does 2 damage, which kills this Dahan and blights the land. That increasing aggression effect is absolutely brutal. Here, the explorer does 2 damage, we have defend 2, nothing happens, and then he is killed by the Dahan. Here, these guys deal 4 damage, which is enough to kill this Dahan and also to blight the land, but this happens a little bit specially. So, I may pay 2 energy to take it from the box instead of off of the blight card, which I will do. And then ordinarily, this would cascade, but it does not outnumber our presence there, so it does not cascade or destroy anyone's presence. And then also, after the invaders deal 1 or more damage to target land, I do 2 damage to them, which is enough to kill both of them. Actually, I don't know if that's going to work with the scripting. Yeah, it has to actually touch the table. Okay. Well, honestly, that's not that bad of an outcome. And then over here, the invaders deal 1 billion damage, and blight is occur. So we have 1 blight left on the card. Yeah, that's harsh. And I'm looking at how many things are in these mountain spaces. We're gonna have a real tough one on this upcoming turn. So build mountain. Here we get a town. Here we get nothing. The disease token prevents the build. Here we get a city. And here we get a city. And then an explorer. So this is the first of the Phase 2 cards. Coastal lands. Explore in all of the coastal lands. Well, that's pretty bad news. And yep, over here also still lots and lots of buildings everywhere, so explorers are just flying. Problem. Alright, and then advance the cards. So we have a Mountain Ravage coming up. Coastal build followed by Coastal Ravage is going to give us a really hard time. Then we slow phase. So first things first. Manifest Incarnation. In a place where there is a city and also a red presence. Let's blow some stuff up. I think it's pretty obvious that this is the location for that. So, the Incarnation of the Mountain deals 6 fear, plus 1 fear for each of the 2 buildings, plus 1 fear for my presence. 9 fear generated. So that is going to set us to 2 fear in the pool, plus a fear card. And that has increased the terror level. It is now terror level 2. So you can see here, at terror level 1, in order to win the game, we have to remove all of the explorers and towns and cities from the board. Once the terror level has risen to 2, if we just get rid of all the towns and cities, all the explorers will flee on their own. So the game gets a little bit easier as you continue to push your fear. Also, when we run this fear card, we're going to get the middle version of its effect, which is a little bit more powerful. And then remove one city, one town, and one invader, and then the invaders there ravage. Well, it turns out the invaders do not, in fact, ravage. I'm fairly sure that in a situation like this where the word remove is used, you do not generate additional fear. Fear is only generated when invaders are destroyed through damage or the word destroy, but we can double check that. It's in this rulebook somewhere. Let's see if we can figure out what page that would be on. Because at this point, keeping track of our fear generation carefully is actually going to matter quite a bit. This is just talking about the Invader Phase. Page 15 for the Invader's health. That's probably where the fear from them being destroyed will be discussed. 15. Invaders. Whenever a town is destroyed, it generates one fear. Whenever a city is destroyed, yeah, they're using the words destroy and remove for different purposes. I'm pretty sure. Okay, so that was a really successful manifest incarnation. In general, I think Stone's unyielding defiance had a very strong turn there. A lot of good work was done. And you have connect the hive mind. So, in a space within 2 range, replace a beast token with your presence or add a beast token. Obviously, doing that the first way gets another presence off of our board, which is a big deal. But I think what we actually want to do here is add a new beast token to the board. I think we just want to start putting a ton of beasts down in this space, because we're going to need to generate a pretty huge amount of defense and violence and stuff here. We have 3 Ravages left. 3 Ravages coming on this next turn, and we've got to get out ahead of them. It looks to me like this might be a game where we try to win through fear rather than through controlling the invaders. Just let them get too scared to be here anymore, and then run off on their own. So I think... Let's see here. We can get to 2 purple, 3 red pretty easily. We have 3 cards in our hand that have purple and red on them. So if we could get to 3 card plays next turn, we could do this instead. We could do a defend 6. How much ravage damage is going to be in that space? 3, 7, 9. So we can defend 6 from that ability and also figure out some other way to deal damage. We might actually be able to handle this if we can get to 3 card plays, which, as you can see down here, is going to require us removing 2 more presence from this line. So we could do this by placing 1 presence now and then picking this action during our growth phase, or by playing this action during our growth phase. I am a little torn as to which one makes more sense, because obviously this is going to be really useful for moving the beasts that are gathered here into that spot. I think we really want to do this thing for our next growth. So maybe here we do in fact want to replace 1 beast token with our presence. Not ideal. Yeah, we just replace this beast token with our presence. We're only going to be able to gather up to 3 beasts into a land anyway, right? So it's going to be these 2 tokens and also this. We could replace this with our presence. I don't think that really helps us that much. Yeah, I'm a fan of this move. Let's go ahead and do this thing. And that leaves us with some presence in this area just in case something goes awry over here and we lose some to the Blight. Alright, and then each other spirit may push 1 of their presence on target board. I'm assuming that is the board that land was on. Not that it lets you target a new board. I don't know that it would matter, because I think in either case, it's this. Well, maybe it's this. The red spirit definitely wants to push a presence into that space, because we want to be here for our 0 range stuff and for controlling Blight. Yeah, I think it's this. We leave this guy here because this gives us easier access to the bottom part of the island. Okay. I feel comfortable with that, and I think that's our only slow power. So time passes. What do we got? Time passes, and little by little, everything that we have spoken in falsehood becomes true. What a depressing concept. Oh, also, we can go ahead and take this thing back, because we are done with it. So, a new growth phase. A new growth step. Over here, what do we need to do? I really want to place this presence this turn. I guess all three of our growth options let us place presence. I don't need to worry too much about that. As things stand right now, we only have slow powers in our hand. We're going to have a coastal land build. So it's going to be ugly. Scarred and Stony Land. Within one range of our of one of our sacred sites. 2 damage, then add a Badlands, and then the target land has to have a Blight in it already. Okay, we can target this land, clean up a Blight, and do some damage here. I think I kind of like that play. And then, do we have another card that we want to play in our hand already? I'm trying to figure out whether or not we need to take the Reclaim, or whether we're cool with the cards we're already holding. We're going to gain 3 energy, so we could go that plus Plow's Shatter. You know what? I think I'm going to do that. Or we could Call to Ferocity, actually. That's also quite good. Oh, we're also about to gain a minor power. Okay, yeah, so basically I don't think we need to take the growth. Or the Reclaim. It would give us 2 more symbols, though, wouldn't it? Do I want that? Do we need that? Let them break themselves against the stone. If we got up to 5 symbols, it would deal half of the damage the invaders did to the land. And it says also, so 2 plus half of their damage. That would let us... Yeah, if we get a great big defend here from the beasts, and then the stone guy deals a ton of damage here, since his presence is here, we can do that. That could allow us to clean that up for later. And since we're doing damage and actually destroying the things, we will get all of that fear. Maybe we do want to do a Reclaim then. I'll be at 2 card plays. So without the symbols from the Reclaim, yeah, we would be at 4 Earth energy. Or 4 Earth elements. I think we'll go ahead and take the Reclaim. So we'll get all of our cards back. We'll temporarily have 2 bonus Earth elements. I'll just put these here so that the counter remembers. And we add a presence to a mountain or a land with our presence within 3, I believe is what this says. Hold on, I have the full version of this guy's card pulled up on the other monitor. I just want to make sure that I'm interpreting his symbols correctly. Or maybe I don't. Well, we can fix that real quickly. I totally did. And then I clicked away because I was like, hey, has there been a new Hark of Vagrant in a while? Okay. Add a presence to a mountain or land with your presence within 3. Okay. So, this goes... maybe here, actually. Or I guess here. Yeah, let's just continue to build up. We'll build outward rather than upward, right? Because we don't need another holy site. We can target Scarred and Stony Land off the holy site we already have. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Okay. And when you... first time you uncover each of your +1 card play spaces, gain a minor power. So, let's gain a minor power. Maybe it'll be something that will be even better than the stuff we were already going to play. Range 0 of a sacred site, 1 damaged... Wow, defend 10. That's compelling. The next time an invader is destroyed in target land this turn, 1 fear. Okay, 2 fear immediately, then also maybe 1 fear later. Target spirit gains 2 energy. At the end of turn, target spirit may reclaim 1 power card instead of discarding it. If you target another spirit, you may also reclaim 1 power card. Huh. Okay. I think this is between Gift of Constancy and Quicken the Earth's Struggles. I gotta say, given the situation that we're in and the fact that we can probably just play defense until we push them out via fear, Fast Speed Defend 10 feels really significant. It can only happen within 0 range of our sacred sites, so we'll have to build up sacred sites and it won't do anything this turn, but I think in general this is a very good card for us. It is incidentally the case that both of the cards I liked there had Earth Element on them too, which is cool. So you can see, you end up assembling quite a lot of powers over the course of a game. I'll do this. Okay, so that's your growth, and then we may as well go ahead and play stuff. So we go to 4 energy, and then I was talking about playing these 2. If we do that, then we will not have the symbol, or we will not have the energy necessary to play Hold the Island Fast with a Bulwark of Will. I think maybe we want to, so perhaps we should... I think we definitely want to play Scarred and Stony Land. And then perhaps we should pick a different thing to be our second card. What is this? We're getting to the point where we could actually maybe have this happen sometimes. So when an event or blight card directly destroys presence, you may prevent any number of presents from being destroyed by paying 1 energy each. That's pretty cool. That's a neat thing. It's not relevant right now, and also we don't even have a single card with a green symbol on it. But that's a neat power. So, what do we want to pay that costs 1 or less? Well, we could play Stubborn Solidity targeting this area. Right now, this area is still taking some damage. This could clear it, or this could get it to the point where it doesn't actually blight even. Yeah, this will be our intended play. And that gives us 6 gray symbols, so we are, in fact, able to do this for only 1 energy. Which is good, because that's all we have left. Good to have 2 card plays. It's a nice place to be. Alright, and then over here, we have to pick this growth option. So we get 2 energy. We add this presence and also a beast token to a tile, or to a space within 3 of us, and I think it's this one, because we just need a lot of beasts here, right? And then we can gather 3 beasts, which we totally do. 1, 2, and 3. 2 tokens and a sacred site. Okay. Feeling pretty good about it. This target land and this target land don't have to be the same. But the whole point here is I'm trying to get... We need to have 4 beasts in that space at the end of this action, and we just barely got there by doing it this way, so... Okay. It's going to be a grand battle. So, I get 1 energy, and then we have to play 3 cards with that energy because I need the symbols. And it has to be these 3 because they all have to have red on them. We have to get to 3 purple, 4 red. Sorry, Fire in the Sky. Maybe next time. Total energy cost 1. We might be in a place where we could take a major power next time we draw a power. Alright, let's move into Fast Phase. So what cards are we actually playing here? Gather Beasts into Han, and then move Beasts into Han. This is that thing that lets me prevent actions from happening. Alright, let's have a look. We're seeing Ravages in... Ravages in the mountains. Okay. We have 1 Blight on the card right now. So we cleared this out already with our Incarnation. we can pay an energy to make the blight that goes here not come off of the card. And we have a plan, we have a number of plans working together to deal with this. So the thing that we could do that would have the greatest effect on the game right now is preventing a blight in this location. If I gather up to 1 beast and up to 2 Bahan, then you can move 1 beast to an adjacent land and up to 2 Dahan may go with it. We could move beast token and 2 Dahan to here. We could gather them to here and then move them to here. And then Stubborn Solidity doesn't quite fix that. We could use the Teeming Host Arrives to get the rest of it done. To move my Sacred Site over to there. And then... Okay, yeah, I got it. So here's what we do. We first play Guide the Way on Feathered Wings. Range 1. So targeting here, within 1 range of this. Gather a beast and 2 Dahan. And then you may move the beast and up to 2 Dahan go with it to here. Then we play the Teeming Host Arrives, which allows us to gather up to 1 beast. We're going to target this space within 1 range of that presence. And when we gather beasts, we're allowed to do it from lands up to 2 distant rather than adjacent only. So we're going to gather this beast token over to here. Then we're going to use Dreadful Tide of Scurrying Flesh, remove any number of beasts. For each beast removed, skip the next invader action. And also 1 fear and also 1 damage. Alright, so we're going to skip the next action, the next invader action in this area. And 1 fear and 1 damage. Okay, so that's that covered. They're going to get very little ravaging done this turn. And then here we have 3 purple and 4 red. If there are 4+ beasts, 3 fear, defend 6. So right there, 3 fear, and defend 6. I'm gonna, there are tokens around the edge of the board that have numbers on them. We're gonna put a number down over here. Oop, that token fell through the table. I'm gonna put it right here on the board. State 6. Okay. There's 6 defend in that space right now. And then, fast actions over here. And 1 per Dahan would allow us to get this up to 8, and they're dealing 9 damage here, right? Yeah. So I think we did it. I think we prevented any blight from coming off the card. Because we're also going to do the, we're going to hold the island fast with a Bulwark of Will, allowing me to cheat the blight that is going to go into this space. And also, you know, I will let them break themselves against the stone in this space. Because actually, it's not going to help here, because all their damage is going to be prevented. They're only going to do 1 damage. No, I still want to do it here, though, I think. Because we'll deal 3 damage to them in total there. No, half rounded down. So we'll just get to deal 2 damage to them, but that plus the damage the Dahan are going to deal is going to be significant. So yeah, we'll target this land with that. Okay. Blighted Island card, not just yet. Then the event. Please don't ruin everything. When exploring, once per board, place a town instead of an explorer. Well, that's gonna suck. Then beasts. Add a beast to a land on each board. Add a beast to a land without blight that has a town. Do we have things? Yes, over here. None of the other blight spaces have a town, even. No, sorry, a land without blight that has a town, not a land with blight. That's the opposite of what they asked for. Okay, land without blight that has a town. And over here, a land without blight that has a town. Then, during Ravage, in every land, defend 1 per Dahan in the land. Okay. That doesn't help enough here. And it does, I mean, all it does here is take us from 8 defense to 10, so that didn't do anything. Yeah, it's a real shame there's not 1 more Dahan in this space. I guess we're about to resolve a fear card, though, aren't we? Maybe we can do something. Maybe that could change. So we get the middle version of Scapegoats. Each town destroys 1 explorer in its land. Each city destroys 2 explorers in its land. Scapegoats. That's actually huge. Because now, the fact that there's 1 defense here does prevent a blight. It's each one? Wow, yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so the city blows this guy up. Both of these explorers get destroyed. This explorer gets destroyed. Oh, and also this guy. That's a fair number of people that just came off the board. They're not hugely relevant people, but still, it's cool. Alright, thank you, fear cards. And now, we Ravage. So, in this mountain, 1 damage is prevented by the Dahan, no blights or deaths occur, and then the Dahan kill that town, generating a fear. In this mountain, no Ravage occurs at all, which means there's no fighting, the Dahan don't fight back. In this mountain, obviously nothing happens, and then in this mountain, these poor guys. They do no damage, and then we're going to deal 6 total damage back to them. 4 from the Dahan, plus 2 from Earth Spirit. So we're going to take a town and a city and deal 1 damage to this town. It has 1 damage on it, in case something could deal a damage before the end of the turn, just so we remember. And so that's an additional 3 fear. Got ourselves another card for next turn. That's about as well as that could have possibly gone. Then we have Coastal Land Build. That's pretty bad. We did not quite prevent there from being invaders here. We almost stopped this build from happening. It was really close. Here comes the real nightmare. Oh, well, first of all, escalation happens. So, we haven't actually looked at it yet, but we have, this whole time, been playing against the Kingdom of Brandenburg, Prussia. We're playing against a level 1 version of this adversary. On level 1, all this adversary does is add a couple of extra towns to the board during setup, so we haven't needed to look at this card yet, but you could see, if we were playing with them on a higher level, they would do some other stuff, and there are actually 4 different adversaries who all have their own unique effects. But every time you draw a card with the escalation symbol on it, for the invaders, something special happens. So, for the Kingdom of Brandenburg, Prussia, that is Land Rush. On each board that has any towns or cities, add a town to a land without a town. Well, that's crummy. Obviously, each of the boards does in fact have some towns and or cities. So, it's a sand card. So we probably want to avoid putting stuff into the sands since we know those are on the Ravage block in the near future. Let's say town here, because it'll be easy to kill, because we have the sacred site. And then over here, for maybe the same reason, it goes here or here. And I'm inclined to put it further inland. Just because there's already a blight there, in case we can't control it. Okay, so then also Sand Explorer. Sadly, all of these sands are explorable. We've done a really bad job controlling the positions of enemy buildings here. Alright, and that is the Invader Phase. They had a good one. They had a bad one and then a good one. Alright, slow phase time. Scarred and Stony Land. Within 1 range of our sacred site, deal 2 damage, add a bad land, remove a blight. Well, I think it's still probably here. 2 damage kills this town. We add a second bad land, which doesn't really do anything, and then we just get the blight out of there. We could hit any one of them. The thing is, right now, if we don't get this out of here, on the next turn they're going to build another city in this tile. Oh, no. Yeah, because of the sand build. Let's go ahead and do that. 2 damage. Add a... What did I do with the bag of Badlands? I put it over here. Add a Badland. We do get a Fear for dealing 2 damage. And also, this goes into the Blight Reserve, not back onto the Blight card. Yeah, that's not too bad. And that's all of our slow phase for you. You also have a slow phase effect. The ever-multiplying swarm. For each beast, add 1 beast token, maximum of 3. Well, it feels like it's pretty obvious that we want to do that here. Just get a ton of beasts on the table, and then we'll figure it out. Figure out whatever later. So let's add a maximum of 3 beast tokens. There are 7 beasts in that space. Sorry, 8. Alright, and then time passes. I don't know if we are winning or not, to be perfectly honest with you. We might be able to generate enough fear to get out of this, but it's definitely looking hairy. May as well press the button, I suppose. Oh hey, that reset the town for me. Time wastes our bodies and our wits, but we waste time, so we are quits. There, quits being the British version, which means even. Okay, we gotta figure out how we're gonna deal with all of this coastal ravaging that's about to happen. It's gonna be really ugly. Well, growth phase. We probably have to do reclaim over here. So I think we're likely to use this card again. We have to just prevent some of the ravages from even happening, right? We do our reclaim, then we gain a power, and I'm going to go ahead and reach for a major. Some of the major powers are not super expensive. There's a 2 and a 4 here. Obviously, red and purple symbols are pretty important to us. The insatiable hunger of the swarm. Fast speed within 2 of a sacred site, add a blight, add 2 beasts, gather 2 beasts. Each beast does 1 fear and 2 damage to invaders, also 2 damage to the Dahan, and then destroy 1. That's incredible. And if you have 2 purple, 4 red, repeat this power on an adjacent land. It's not even a thinker. We should look at the other one, I guess? There's no universe where we're playing a 5 or an 8, I don't think. 1 damage and defend 2 per Dahan in the target land, and then maybe also push some Dahan and whatever. Okay. The insatiable hunger of the swarm. One thing I really like about this game is it's pretty good about meshing the mechanical feel and the flavor feel. This should be a card that's good for our guy, and it turns out it is, right? So we have to forget a power to learn that. I might drop one of our slow powers. We probably don't need ever multiplying swarm anymore. We still have ways of adding beast tokens. But, like, we have our establishment, I think. Let's, It's like that or Fire in the Sky. And it would be Fire in the Sky only because it's the only card we have that doesn't have a red symbol on it. I think Fast Speed Strife is really good, though. It's gonna be ever-multiplying Swarm. Alright, so we'll, throw this in the Forgotten pile. And then, we have to figure out your growth. You do not need to reclaim. This might be a good time for +3 energy, actually, so that we can manifest Incarnation at the end of the turn. Just, like, really push fear super hard. I think I like that. So we add 1 presence to a space within 2 range. This would give me this will let me reclaim 1 of my 2 cards anyway, which would probably be Stubborn Solidity. Or we could build up toward the next extra play. That's probably the right move. So yeah, we take this, gain 3 energy, put this out onto the board somewhere. Somewhere that's going to get hit this turn so that we can try to tank the Blight out. We have an awful lot of choices. How about over here? Or over here? Yeah, this is a place where we need to control the Blight. Okay, that makes sense. Oh, except we're not going to be able to control the Blight, because it has to be... We have to have power in equal to or in excess of the amount of Blight, which will not be the case here. This is actually really bad. Do we have a way of fixing this? Not really, huh? Okay, or we could put it down to create a sacred site to give us defend 10 somewhere. That make more sense? I wish I had a way of moving our presence around. The thing that the yellow player has that moves other players' presence is slow speed, right? Yeah, it's this. That is a real shame. Well... So we probably don't want this here, because it's just going to get destroyed. I think we do want it. I think up here is right. It'll at least allow us to control that. Alright, and then we gain 4 energy during the gain energy step, and then we get to play 2 cards. Well, we do not have Quicken the Earth's Struggles available. Not really. We could just go ahead and throw Manifest Incarnation to destroy one of the ugly coastal areas. Oh, you know what? Actually, maybe I want to put this here, because we can Manifest Incarnation here after the build. Just like go ahead and let them play an ugly Blight and then clear the space. Those Badlands are not doing an awful lot of work. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. So we'll do that. We'll play Manifest Incarnation plus something that doesn't cost 2. Here, we'll do this. Oh, we don't have these symbols anymore. So we have... Yeah, I think that makes sense. 2 energy remaining. And you, we did your growth already. Let's do your gain power, and then I think we really want to play Insatiable Hunger of the Swarm and 2 0-cost cards. Right, because we need to play a Dreadful Tide of Scurrying Flesh, I'm pretty sure, anyway. This gives us a ton of mobility. It puts us on 3 purple, 1 blue, 4 red. Which means that we can do a bunch of gathering, we can do a defend 6 somewhere, we can do this thing a couple of times. So range 2 of a sacred site gives us a lot of options. We could move some beasts over here with some of our powers, and then... Man, add a Blight is tough, but at this point we're trying to get down the fear stack as quickly as possible. We're just gonna have to live with add a Blight, I think. Maybe add 2 Blight, because we are totally going to try to repeat this power. Yeah, alright. I think that's the move. So that's gonna cost exactly all of my energy. And let's fast phase. So we have to figure out how to deal with as many of these Ravages as possible. Ravage Coastal. Okay. We don't know exactly what's going to happen when the Blight card flips. There are a lot of different backs to the Healthy Island card. I believe, yeah, there are 9 different Healthy Island cards. We have no idea which one we have yet. So... I guess, in a sense, placing a Blight during our fast phase is a good thing, because it's going to let us know what's up before we get surprised during the Invader Phase. So I guess let's start by... Do we want to use the defend from our innate power from Beset and Confound right there? Or do we want to do it somewhere else? If we do it right there, then I can move all of my beasts away and have them be other places, and this space will be clear, and then it will be safe, and then the Dahan will kill the invaders there. I kind of think I like that, but this also could just be the place where we remove a beast token, right, and do remove a beast token for this thing. Just skip the next invader action there. I guess what we want to do is put the defend in the place where we're going to be able to use it to kill the largest number of enemy structures for the greatest fear generation. So it would actually be best to do it here. Yeah, but we got to get a Dahan over to here so that we can get a little bit more damage output. Which we totally can, because we have Guide the Way. The Dahan will follow the birds, as we have trained them to. So yeah, alright, I'm going to target this space right here with Dreadful Tide of Scurrying Flesh. We're going to remove one beast token to prevent the Ravage and do a fear. And also 1 damage. We could remove a second beast token. You know what? I will. We'll remove 2 beast tokens. So 2 fear, 2 damage. And that also kills a town, which generates another fear. Do I actually want to remove 2 more beast tokens and just kill the other town? Wipe the space out entirely? Yes. Yes, I do, right? As much as I love having 7 beasts on the board, I think we gotta be in clearance mode. Plus that generates a ton more fear. So we removed 4 beasts. Generated 2 more fear. Killed the town, which generated another fear. We have 2 fear cards to resolve later this turn. And then also there's not going to be a Ravage here, in case that matters. Okay, then we Guide the Way on Feathered Wings, targeting this space. Move a Dahan and 2 beast tokens. Then move a Dahan. Oh no, sorry, it's 2 Dahan and a beast token. I'm doing this backwards. So sorry, it's this and these 2. And then those 3 tokens once again move down to here. Trying to make sure everybody's actually in the space. Okay, and then we have Teeming Host. We can gather up to 4 beasts. We're going to target this space because we need more beasts over here. Otherwise, we don't get the amount of defend that we need. Okay, and now that we've done that, we beset and confound in this space. If there are at least 4 beasts, defend 6, 3 fear. You're really, really killing it on the fear generation. Okay, so that's all done. And this space has defend 6. Then... Ooh, hold on. I maybe don't want to do that way. Because Insatiable Hunger of the Swarm works on adjacent spaces, maybe I wanted to target all of that movement to here. Yeah. This space has defense 6. And then we swarm these 2. Because we have a sacred site here to use for targeting. So, add a Blight. Upon doing so, Blight container is now empty, which is a sad time for everybody. Alright, what does this say? Immediately, on each board, add 1 town and 1 city to an inland land that has no towns or cities. Also, 4 Blight per player. If there is ever no Blight here, players lose. Okay, so we can't let too much more Blight spread, and also a whole bunch of buildings. Sands are on the thing, so we don't want it to be sands. It's a town and a city to 1 inland land that has no town or city. Well, over here, I guess let's do it in this wetland. There's a disease there to help curb additional building. It's not too far away from our stuff, but it's also not a place where there's blight. And then here, this jungle is maybe fine, or maybe we should do it on the mountain since we have some control over the mountain already. Yeah, let's do that. Not me, though. Not happy to see it. Alright. So we added a blight. Then add 2 beasts. Well, you know how I feel about add beasts. Then I could gather 2 beasts if I want. Then each beast will do 1 fear and 2 damage to the invaders. We need 6 total damage. We need 1 more beast. Okay, here's a beast we can gather, and we can gather stuff from 2 tiles away, thankfully. Oh, we already have 3 beasts in the space, that's right. Maybe I want to leave him alone. Nah, we'll bring him over, it's fine. Yeah, because we can move stuff around so easily. Okay. No, sorry, I'm changing my mind again. I'm going to gather no beasts. Well, but if we don't gather a beast, we're going to lose out on a fear. Okay, final time I change my mind. Do we want to gather 1 more from anywhere else? I don't really want to move my sacred site away here. Like, I like having this. If I move these guys out, I have no, like, almost no presence on that board. Okay, now we're fine. Each beast does a fear, 2 damage to invaders, 2 damage to Dahan. So 8 damage to the invaders and Dahan here. That generates 3 fear worth of building destructions, plus 4 more fear from the beasts themselves. Terror level is now 3. So now all we have to do to win is get all the cities off the table. It's going to be a lot easier before all those new cities showed up. Then, destroy a beast token. Saddest words in the English language. Then, if you have 2 purple, 4 red, which we absolutely do, repeat this power on an adjacent land, like this one. So, first of all, add a blight. And this is a little bit ugly because that causes a blight cascade. Then, add 2 beasts, gather 2 beasts. We're going to go ahead and gather these 2. I think I'd rather gather these 2 than move the sacred site. Pretty sure. Then we do some silly amount of damage, well more than is necessary to do all this, which generates us another fear worth of building destruction, plus 4 fear from the beasts themselves. There are only 2 cards left in the fear stack, and if we empty it completely, we do win. So I think that's our victory condition at this point, and then one of the beast tokens is destroyed. So that was a swarm of locusts that just consumed everything along a majority of this side of the island's coast. We've got 6 points of defense up here. We cleared that out. We've actually managed to do a pretty good job here. There's not really going to be that much ravaging this turn. Alright, now we move. Oh, sorry. Was that the last fast power? You don't have anything else here. I will, of course, cast Hold the Island Fast with a Bulwark of Will on myself, and then let them break themselves against the stone. Can only be used here, so here is where we use it. Okay. Now we move on to the Invader Phase. Blighted Island. The Blighted Island card does not have a thing that happens at the beginning of each Blighted Island phase. If it did, it would be in that box where the Promising Farmlands effect is. Then we move on to the event card. Alright, on each board of the city, either destroy 2 presents or add 1 blight to a land with a city. I think we're thin enough on presents that destroy 2 presents is actually really bad. Obviously, so is add 2 blight. We could split the difference. We could go... Okay, on this board, we could destroy these 2 presents. And on this board, we could add a blight to a land with a city. So it would be a cascade. No, maybe what we do instead is destroy these 2 presents. Maybe we instead keep these 2 and add a blight to that. I think we can live with that. No, we really can't. Okay, yep, it's just going to be a bunch of destroyed presence. I don't like it, but it's what it is. That's a harsh event. Then, Prey on the Unwary. Each beast destroys an explorer and then add a beast to a board with that one. He actually... okay, you get to destroy... It's each beast destroys an explorer? Okay, so you get to eat this guy. And then... your sacred sites are considered beasts unless you choose otherwise. You may choose separately for each sacred site for each effect. Okay, I choose not to treat this sacred site as a beast, which means this board doesn't have any beasts. So we get to add one. And we will put it, I don't know, here. I don't know that it matters terribly, because we're so good at pushing and pulling them around. And then on each board, add a Dahan to a jungle or a wetland that has Dahan. Well, adding a Dahan here actually does help. Right, because one of these guys will survive the Ravage and will fight back. And then here, a jungle or wetland with Dahan. There actually aren't any. Okay. And then we are in the fear cards. So this is going to be real good for us because we have 4 fear cards to resolve and we're in Terror level 3, so they're all going to be really good. Defend 3 in all lands. Okay, I'm going to pull this out and put it over here so I don't forget. That actually changes things tremendously. Skip the next normal build. The build card shifts left as usual. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with that. That's really, really good. Each player may choose a land with Dahan or adjacent to Dahan. Invaders do not ravage there this turn. I think I can remember that. We're not going to get any ravages, I don't think. Each player chooses a different land with a town or a city. Gather 1 Dahan into that land, and then invaders take 2 damage per Dahan there. Well. Okay. So. Yeah, invaders do not ravage. So we're going to say invaders do not ravage here and here this turn. For that one card. And then for this card... we're going to just choose this land. The Dahan are going to do some damage here. May as well just get it over with right now, right? And then the other one of us is going to choose this land. The Dahan are going to do 4 damage to the enemies there. We could have gathered one, but I'm not going to bother, because... I'm pretty sure whenever it says gather 1, you can gather up to 1. I guess that, you know what, that might be mandatory. We'll go ahead and forcible gathering there. Okay. Those are some pretty good fear cards. So defend 3 in all lands doesn't actually end up mattering. This is huge, though. Immigration slows is really, really good for us. So we managed to make it so no ravages happened in a bunch of different ways there. And now we skip the next normal build, so no ravage, no build, it's time to explore. Wetlands and also escalation. Add a town to a land that does not have a town. And we know the wetlands are coming up next, so we want to put it somewhere else. I'm going to put the town here, I think, on this one. And then also, here? Yeah, just like put them in a place where there's a bunch of Dahan and we might be able to have them burned down before they can do anything. And Wetland Explore. Unfortunately, Wetland Explore is still fully effective. We have not done a good job of controlling the number of them that are in the wetlands. Alright, 4 very good fear cards. So then we have the cards shift a little bit. Wait, sorry, we don't know that yet. Never mind that. I think there's a good chance we end the game this turn. It may not matter. Slow phase. It turns out Manifest Incarnation is going to get us an awful lot of fear. So we're going to manifest our Incarnation right here, I think. I was going to do it there, but I've changed my mind. Or Or we could do it here. This is a little bit more relevant, I think, since there's going to be a Wetland Ravage next turn, or a Wetland Ravage in the near future. Take this off of here. Probably shouldn't have put that town in the sand. Yeah, whatever. Doesn't matter. Okay, so, yeah, we should probably just do the Incarnation here to prevent the Ravage. So, sorry, before we move anything off, we get 6 fear and 1 additional fear for the city, 1 additional fear for my presence. And then these guys get removed. Pretty helpful. Then gather up to 3 Dahan, or if target land has Dahan, cause a fear and push some guys. That's within 1 range of me. So we could target here. We could just move the town out to make up for the error. I think that's a reasonable thing to do. We'll just push the town 1. We targeted a land that has Dahan, and then also generate a fear. So actually all we have to do is generate 5 fear and we win the game, right? Yep. I think that's it for your slow phase. You have no slow phase, as always. So, this is a pretty low difficulty game. You can see here, difficulty 2 is what this combination of things was rated. It goes up to 8 or something like that. We'll try higher. I wanted a nice low difficulty for the first game so that I could remember how everything works without getting run over. But yeah, we'll go a little harder on the next one because it sure looks like we've got it. So time passes, and we are going to just generate some fear here. How do we most effectively do that? We have 2 fear from this card plus 3 fear from that. Like any amount of damage. Okay, so we want to reclaim cards. Right, well, without a reclaim, we can't make this happen, but we can get real close. I think we don't want to reclaim. We want to just play some presence. Yeah, it doesn't really matter how we do this, I don't think. So the Ravage would be in the sands. There's no sand ravaging happening anywhere that's going to matter. These 2 explorers are irrelevant. In theory, just in case stuff goes horribly awry with the event cards or something, wetlands are the place that's the next most relevant thing. So we probably want to do some stuff in some wetlands. Let's add a presence. An extra power per turn is actually an extra energy per turn is totally relevant. So add a presence and a beast. And then also gather 3 beasts. And then gain 2 energy. That seems pretty alright. And then we may as well gain you 2 energy for this, and we play all 3 of our cards. We don't have any reason not to do things that way, and I'm pretty sure that that's gonna be almost all the fear right there, so you need to generate a fear if you could. Actually, fast phasing fear is not a thing that we're super good at on this side of the table. We just need to do some damage, which we cannot really do. We could do 1 damage to some buildings, so that's not going to be enough to kill them. It would be if I had placed my Badlands a little bit more effectively. Yeah, alright, let's do a reclaim, I guess. We'll reclaim all our cards. We'll figure something out, I'm sure. Hold on, that's north of the line. It's upsetting the energy cost thing. And then we get to have some earth elements for the turn. And also we can place an energy, place a presence. I'm just going to use all of the words in the game to mean all of the different things that the game can have them mean. How about here? That's a place where it'd be cool to have a presence. And then gain 4 energy. And let's figure this out. So there's no ravages that matter. It's just about destroying stuff. So like the real play is Manifest Incarnation. And that way we win during our slow phase. Again, unless something horrible, horrible, horrible happens. And we'll just like play some cards that are free. Because we don't have any other energy. That's exactly all of my energy. Okay. Then we move into the fast phase. So over here, within one range of a sacred site, we're going to put some strife down on a wetland. You know what? I'm going to do a move first. We're going to gather some beasts. Well, actually, the buildings... So we would probably do Incarnation here. So I guess we'd put the strife over here somewhere. Strife on this city. And then that's also, that generates 2 fear. Yeah. And then pursue with scratches, pecks, and stings. For every 2 beasts, push this guy. For every 3 beasts, push this guy. And that's 2 more fear. 1 per invader pushed. And then we also do this ability, which generates any non-zero amount of fear. And there you go. Fear card earned. And we win the game. Hooray! We made the island too terrifying for the invaders to want to live on. That was actually a pretty easy game. Things usually get closer than that. I know I was talking during the middle of the game about, like, boy, I don't know if we're going to win this. It usually gets worse. It's a good confidence booster for me that we can get through a difficulty 2 victory, though. I do not know necessarily if we are going to win the other games, and I also don't know if I made any huge rules errors. If I did, I apologize, but, you know, there's an awful lot to keep track of here, even with Tabletop Simulator helping me out a little bit. So that is Spirit Island, and that is going to be it for us for right now. Thank you all so much for watching. If you made it all the way through to the end here, if you're going to point out that I made rules errors in the comments, you know, be a calm, decent human being about it. Feels like a thing you shouldn't have to say, but on the internet, you have to say it. Come back in a little while. We're going to do, like, I think 2 more of these today over the course of the next few hours. I hope that you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. I am going to go walk around and stretch and get some water, and then we'll see you next time.